Referee Dan Movaheady, one of the top officials on the European circuit, getting this one underway. Kingsley Crawford in the black, Reece McEwan in the bright yellow. And this could be a huge fight for the careers of either man here. I mean, Kingsley Crawford gets a win here. For my money, he's right there in the title picture at 135 pounds. Reece McEwan, if he can take the momentum of Crawford and pick up what would essentially be 2 signature wins in his first 2 Cage Warriors fights, he too becomes undeniable when you're talking about maybe the end of the year, early next year.
I mean, a fantastic level change there. Just the distance that he traveled on that shot was fantastic. Immediately able to get his hands connected around the mid-leg of Kingsley. And, you know, he finds himself in a position. It's not a secure position, but look at that transition. I mean, this is what I love to do. I love to watch really high-level grappling, whether it's on the mat, whether it's in the cage. And you see that transition from the leg control where he was quite far down. So, you know, what happens a lot of the time is the opponent will continue to back up. They'll push you away. They'll try and get that back to the fence. That's exactly what Kingsley's trying to do. And Reece switched from that leg control into a body lock position. Now, Kingsley's been able to get his back to the fence. And look at this redirect into half guard now. Expect to see if he can. Reece is going to try and pop that right leg out and pass in the side control. Oh, a beautiful, explosive twist there. I mean, that is just done with fantastic timing. Kingsley finds himself in top position now, and I mean, did not expect to see that. Very, very impressive, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Kingsley Crawford has the explosiveness, he has the athleticism. So right now, it's all going to be about, is Kingsley going to look to create space and stand back up, or is he going to... I mean, what would be really interesting if he tries to pass and get to a dominant position here, but he's got to be careful because Reece is going to be looking to tie up limbs. And right now, Kingsley's doing a good job of stopping Reece from freeing his right leg. With that right leg stuck on the inside, really smothered, his heel is by his hips there. There's not much he can do in terms of attacks because you very often need both legs in order to attack. But you see how Reece is trying to create space to get that leg out? If he can free that leg or bring the other leg on the inside to go the butterfly guard, well, then he's in a strong position to start, well, if it's butterfly guard, to start sweeping. So right now, he's got to get, the triangle could be there, but it's not there if the right leg isn't freed. So if you have that leg trapped and someone goes for a triangle, you don't have to defend the triangle, you just have to stop that leg from popping out. And now that leg is out. So right now, everything changes. Now Reece is in a position where he can start attacking, and there the triangle comes up. It's a completely different position. Now, he hasn't actually isolated Kingsley's right arm outside of the position. He's gone for a very, very high guard position. The entire arm isn't on the inside, but the forearm, Kingsley's right forearm is on the inside there. So right now, it'll be very, very difficult, one, to lock off because the mass of Kingsley's shoulder with that right arm on the inside is too big. What can happen is you can actually attack that far side arm. If the opponent tries to insert the arm deeper to try and get that shoulder back on the inside of the legs, there's a possible, because you've already got that angle change, you're already at 90 degrees, but if Kingsley tries to pull that right arm out, it will be a huge mistake, and that triangle will come on very, very quickly. So right now, Kingsley trying to keep that arm on the inside, so he's trying to work his shoulder, that right shoulder. He wants to slowly maneuver that onto the inside of the legs, and then he's going to bring himself back into a close guard position. You see, he's trying to get through, and there he is, back into a safe position. But it's those moments where you've got a great grappler, someone who's really dangerous off their back. One small mistake, and it can all be over. So Kingsley so far doing everything that he needs to on top.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, you've got to say McEwan's scoring there from the bottom with the submission attempts and the elbows. So this very much still anybody's round.
Yeah, and it's also, it is significant that it's the first round because it is so much drier and able to throw these legs up when you use one of the most effective ways to attack from the closed guard, especially in no gi when you don't have the gi to be able to grab onto and control posture, is to use this high guard position. And the drier someone is, the more friction you're going to get between your legs and their back. So as it gets more slipperier, when Kingsley was trying to get that shoulder on the inside, that's going to get easier and easier. I mean, Daniel Movaheady, the referee, saying that they got to work, but I mean, this is paradise for me. I want to see people in this position. I want to see how the person tries to escape or control on top, and I want to see what Reece is doing from underneath. So Reece now with a single butterfly hook, potentially going to go back into a double butterfly hook here. Looking to come underneath the leg for a second, not quite sure what he was thinking about there.
Looking to end the round with some ground and pound now.
I mean, and he's in a great position to do that.
Those shots are what separates the two. McEwan with the triangle attempt and a few nice elbows of his own previously, but as we've said before, Dan, we'll let the judges pick that one out. McEwan looking like he's not afraid to stand and strike with Crawford. You'd imagine he would like to get this one to the ground, but...
And I think it's important. It's important that he shows Kingsley that he's not afraid to strike with him. So Kingsley thinks, okay, I've got to worry about the striking, and that's where Reece can actually find the opportunity to change level and shoot. Interesting now. Double underhook position from Kingsley. I mean, a strong position there. Reece is able to get one hand on the inside, but Kingsley looking very strong there, was able to get top position and into side control straight away. I mean, we expect to see Reece try and regain a guard and kind of get back to a similar position that we saw him in. Giving up the back for a second here. This is surprising, and Kingsley jumping straight on it.
Well, we've seen Crawford pull off a number of submissions himself. Anaconda choke in his last fight against Aiden James, a Bravo choke against Adam Wilson, a few fights before that, a triangle against Lewis Monarch, so we know he's good wherever the game goes.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that, all three of those submissions are based around the length of those limbs. Long arms, long legs, able to get those Bravos, those Darcys, those triangles, are beautifully timed again on the legs. That top dominant position, almost a mirror image of what we saw at the beginning of that first round, and we're seeing almost exactly the same way of Kingsley trying to defend that. The question here is Kingsley going to be able to get that reversal? I mean, I was surprised he did it once. If he can do it twice now, Reece knows that there's a chance of that happening. Back into half guard, we're going to see it now. I mean, if he really does try and do the exact same thing, we're going to see a bump in the direction of the fence and then a bump in the opposite direction. He's tying up a guillotine here, and you know what, you were mentioning the Darce, you were mentioning the Bravo. I think that Kingsley could have locked off the position of that hand there. I think he has locked off an Anaconda choke, and he may be applying it from here. It's a very awkward angle to do it from, but once again, the physical strength and the long limbs of Kingsley Crawford means that it is possible. I mean, there Reece is able to escape from it, but he's dangerous with that Anaconda for sure. We're seeing a potential sweep off of this. So he'll bump towards the far side, and then as Reece looks to shift his weight back, he might bump in the opposite direction. There's the bump in one side. He's looking for the reaction here. It's exactly what he did in that first round, but Reece has got to be more aware and more cautious of what he's trying to do. He knows he can get swept from this position. And look at the upper body control. Reece is really trying to get his hands connected. Kingsley doing a great job of keeping that elbow and that frame with the left arm to stop Reece from being able to get an over-under. If you get an over-under, the pressure you can generate with your upper body is so strong, it stops anyone from being able to move underneath. A sniff at the mount position from Reece for a second, and Kingsley immediately putting him back in the half guard. And once again, Reece, look at Reece fight with his right arm to get underneath the left arm of Kingsley Crawford. He wants that control, because from there you can really start to put the pressure, and you can bring that knee up with that dominant tripod pressure that going down into the upper body, and you can slide that knee either into mount or to side control. But he's only got a minute and a bit to work. There it is. There's the over-under. I expect him to connect his hands here, or he's going to lose it. Yeah, he's lost it.
Referee Dan Mulvaney there just asking for a little bit more work from these guys. McEwan trying to pass that guard. As you said, Dan, you got a sniff of the full mount briefly there, and as soon as he was removed from that position, his coach was saying again. They want him back in that more dominant position to try and do some damage here, and they're maybe aware that the referee's warned a few times now that he could be looking to stand this up.
So this is what I was saying about that over-under. You know, Reece is putting pressure with the left arm into the face there. He's got that cross face, he's putting pressure in, and he wants to be able to put enough pressure to take weight off of the legs and pass into a stronger position. But the one arm is not enough. That left arm, that cross face, without being anchored, you're not going to be able to get the pressure on the upper body that you need to rely purely on that control. So it looks like he's more than happy to strike from this position and try and get some points on the on the judges' scorecard. It certainly seems to be what the corner are telling him, and probably not a bad idea, to be honest.
Yeah, the corner just implored him for a few hammer fists there. A big fight for the division, a big fight for both of these young men. Kingsley Crawford, Reece McEwan, third and final round underway. No touch of gloves, straight to business. Opens up with a kick to the inside of the league leg, does McEwan, but immediately bullied back onto the fence by Kingsley Crawford.
Yeah, it looked like for a second both of those guys changed level at exactly the same time and found themselves in the clinch. But what Reece McEwan has is a beautifully timed, his ability to travel significant distance, far more distance than you expect someone to be able to get a deep position off a takedown from. His level change and his shot length is very, very impressive. Most people just aren't used to defending takedowns that start from so far away. They think they're safer in this position, then boom. And he sets it up nicely, that last takedown in the last round, set up with the strike and then straight onto that position. And he's got to be thinking about it again.
Yeah, you talked earlier, Dan, about just how explosive Kingsley Crawford can be, but for me, one of the biggest improvements we've seen from him in recent years is just the focus that he has.
Yeah, and you know, and absolutely beautiful. He seems very, very, not just explosive, but he seems a lot more statically strong than we've seen him in the past. Once again, he got a takedown last round with that strong body lock position, and we've seen it just again now into top position here. But Reece McEwan is into a closed guard, so this is the sort of position that he wants to be on. Everything's going to be tougher than it has been so far because it's going to be more slippery. It's going to be harder to cut the angle, but not impossible from here. So expect angle changes for arm bars. If you see Reece start to turn to create a 90-degree angle, that's an arm bar. If he looks to start playing around and controlling the wrist or controlling the hand, then he's thinking about a triangle. Right now, Kingsley's just doing a good job of staying very, very tight and not allowing him to really get space to do anything. And he is, I mean, he literally couldn't be closer to the corner of Kingsley Crawford if he wanted to. You see that angle change? That's thinking about a arm bar. You see?
And referee Dan Movaheady.
I mean, I gotta say, I'm slightly surprised that even though it might not look like a lot is going on, there's so much going on in a position like that.
It's a nice short left hand from Kingsley Crawford there.
Reece is pushing him up against the fence here. If he creates some space, he might look to just move away like he's going to disengage and then shoot his really nice entry, that level change that we've seen 2 or 3 times so far tonight.
Another nice left hand from Crawford.
Oh my God!
Kick.
Oh my word!
Reece McEwan looking for the finish here. Crawford though,
and now
like
Crawford
he's recovered.
Going for an armbar there. He's in a terrible position to try and regain guard, and Reece passes straight in the side control. There's 2 minutes left, and you know, if Kingsley is still hurt from that shot, then really trying to lay on the ground and pound at this point could be a great path to victory right now. Kingsley, fantastic job of framing with those long arms and pushing back into a full guard position, but why isn't he closing the legs? Why isn't he securing this position? You know, Reece McEwan is someone who's going to try and immediately pass back the half guard, and that's exactly what he does. And if he feels that Kingsley's getting tired here, or maybe he's dazed slightly, expect to see him try and pass to Mount. Another sweep attempt here, but he doesn't have that same pop. He doesn't have the same energy that he had in that first round. And this is a risky position. You sit up and you try and control here and you try and bridge him backwards, but it takes away your ability to maneuver with the legs, and it can allow your opponent to pass much easier. I mean, he's still retaining that physical, that static strength that we've seen from him so far, but the explosiveness does go as the fight goes on. And a possible back take from here. Reece is thinking about connecting his hands for the back. He might roll from this position, but Kingsley does a great job of getting himself flat on the ground to stop that from happening. He's trying to hit that same half guard sweep that he was hit before. Hip bump in one way, hip bump the other way.
What a clash here.
There it is, and he gets it again. He gets it again. 45 seconds left. Reece McEwan on his back, Kingsley Crawford on top. Kingsley allows that foot to come out into a full guard position, and there's 40 seconds left, and I have no idea which way this is going.
This is absolutely insane, as we thought it might be. Kingsley Crawford, Reece McEwan putting on a battle for the ages here. How Crawford ate that head kick and survived, I do not know, my friends.
Reece McEwan still continuing to try and cut the angle. So difficult. 3 rounds in, so slippery, so much sweat there, and fighting to the last second. And he throws the legs up for a dragon right at the end there. I mean, what a crazy back and forth match that we had there.
Maximum.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of mixed martial arts action, we go to our judges' scorecards. Your judges score this bout 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27 in favour of your winner by way of unanimous decision in the blue corner, Reece McEwan.